Have you ever felt like your emotions don't belong to you anymore? Like you're carrying everyone else's burdens, moods, expectations? That's what happens when emotional boundaries become blurred, when family love becomes enmeshment instead of connection. This is day 17 of my 30-day devotional for His glory, disclosing and destroying the spiritual roots of codependency. My name is Naomi Claxton, and on day 17, we're learning how to love deeply without losing ourselves. How to, even as adults, build emotional boundaries that, even as adults, protect our peace and keep us rooted and grounded in God's love and not managing the expectations of others. If you grew up in an enmeshed family, here are 6 signs that is the dynamic that you experienced. 1, there are no emotional or physical boundaries. Everyone knows everyone else's business, and gossip is par for the course. 2, you were raised to feel responsible for other people's happiness and peace, and that has followed you throughout your whole life. 3, you're frequently guilted for wanting space, independence, or time away from your family. 4, your parents' self-worth hinges on your success. 5, your family members, especially older parents or others, overshare their personal struggles and rely on you for comfort and emotional support. 6, you've learned to avoid conflict, to say yes when you really mean no, and bury your feelings to keep the peace. You don't know who you are apart from what others need. Enmeshment usually begins with trauma, addiction, mental illness, generational patterns of narcissism or control, but it quietly passes from one generation to the next. And so in many cases, you cannot pinpoint the trauma that began the enmeshment in your nuclear family system because it began in another prior generation. On day 17, we talk about Tina, who grew up walking on eggshells. Her mother was self-absorbed and emotionally neglectful. Her father was stern and often spiritualized Tina's suffering. He often quoted Romans 12:1, reminding her that her life was to be a living sacrifice, while her mother joked that Tina was the glue that held their marriage together. When her parents packed barrels to send back home to Nigeria, Tina would often watch her favorite toys and clothes disappear into a barrel without anyone asking her what she wanted or didn't want. Her parents would shame her if she displayed emotion or sadness about anything that was taken or done to her. But the real message was clear. Your needs don't matter. In arguments between Tina and her brother, her parents always took her brother's side, rarely asking her what even happened. But the real message was clear. Who you are and what you need does not matter here. Speaking up for herself or having emotional boundaries meant being shamed, guilted, or sending her mother into a rage. She learned to stay silent. That silence followed her into adulthood, saying yes when she wanted to say no, fixing everyone's problems but her own quietly, and constantly confusing keeping the peace with love. The foundational principle on day 17 is clear. Emotional boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're simply gates to guard your peace and protect your heart so that God's love can flow freely through you. When the Holy Spirit guards your emotions, you stop living in reactivity and begin to live in peace and truth. Emotional boundaries are personal limits. They define how others treat you and how much of their emotions you absorb. They help you separate their crisis from your calling, their moods from your peace, and their expectations from your purpose. If you've ever heard the saying, a lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine, and been confused as to how that could be true, you likely came from an enmeshed family system. You can't be rooted and grounded in love if your roots are buried in someone else's emotions. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us of the importance of guarding your heart. It's not selfishness, it's sacred stewardship. Where in your life are you experiencing enmeshment? Have you conflated carrying someone else's burden with doing for them what they should be doing for themselves? If this spoke to you, take heart. Healing begins with awareness. Join me tomorrow for day 18, where we'll talk about how to love, but with limits. Taking baby steps to build emotional boundaries in relationships, even where they've never existed before.